This episode of A Glass Blower's Companion is brought to you by Mountain Glass Arts. For the month of October 2019, Mountain Glass is offering their Boro sale. North Star and Troutman, first odds, seconds, and Frit at 30% off. No coupon code needed. Again, that's North Star and Troutman, firsts, odds, seconds, and Frit at 30% off. Do not sleep on this sale. This is a fantastic sale. It is October. They have lots of tricks and lots of treats, but this one is definitely a treat. And for all you beautiful soft glass nerds, they have their monthly sale. They have their jewelry making essentials at 25% off. All you need to do is use the coupon code JEWELRY, that's JEWELRY. And they also have a bunch of kiln sales, torch sales, all kind of fun things going on, as well as all kind of good information. Anything else you need for Mountain Glass, just give them a call or go to mountainglass.com. That's mountainglass.com. This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass.
Feast, the haunting's free, so hurry back, we would like your company.
Hey, what's happening? Welcome to A Glass Blower's Companion, Episode 5. How are you? Thanks so much for tuning in today. Today's episode features Mike Luna. He is making a return. It's been 3 years since Mike's been on the show. The first time he was on, he shared his background, his history, and all kind of fun stuff. And you can definitely go back in our show episodes. I'll have his link in the show notes, too, for his previous episode. And this one, we just kind of catch up, see where things are going, discuss some of the things that are currently going on in the industry, as well as just kind of just touching base with Mr. Mike Luna. If you're not yet following Mike Luna out there in the world of the social media feeds, you can find him on Instagram at Mike Luna Glass. It's all one word. He has a little dragon logo next to his image. And that's one of the things Mike is known for, is for his amazing dragons and the refinement that he's had over the years to just make some incredible work. He's been one of my favorite artists for a long, long time, more or less since my early humble beginnings as a glass artist. And this was a lot of fun conversation-wise, just kind of catching up. He did not have any earbuds on. You kind of hear some studio sounds in his background, which is fine. It's kind of like the raw sound sometimes when we have on the show. So just hope you can bear with the audio side of things. But we had a lot of fun. It was a good conversation, good catching up. And Mike's somebody I definitely want to work with one of these days, even though he's out there in the West Coast. I just need to get my ass on an airplane and fly out there, or he can get his ass on an airplane and fly out here. Either way, definitely am looking forward to one of these days to getting together with Mike and working. But he's got a great humble beginning and how we got started, and definitely go back and check out his previous episode. Also, if you are not familiar with another glass podcast out there called Glass Chat, just recently, Greg had me on there, and it was my first time actually getting a chance to share my full glass journey in a sense, and some insights and some things that never actually have shared with even the show. He asked some questions which caught me off guard. When they were, I guess, caught me off guard wasn't really what I'm looking for word wise, just for lack of a better term. Just some good, insightful questions that pulled some stuff out of me that ended up becoming some really valuable information for the world of glass and the community. It was also very therapeutic for myself. It was a lot of fun getting to chat and share my journey and my own trials and tribulations, which I've shared a lot on here. But this was just some specific areas and details that he pulled out of me that I wasn't expecting, as well as some things going on currently, and also what I have planned and dreams for my future, and which incorporate glass, but also some other things. So definitely go check him out. Again, his podcast is called Glass Chat. He's had a bunch of episodes. I believe he's had like 60 episodes-ish now, something like that. I should probably know this. I could tell you right now while I'm recording this. I'm just going to go and see what the hell number it was. Yeah, this is makes for great radio. How are you? How are you doing today? I believe I was episode 62. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I got some great feedback already at episode 62. I got some great feedback. Just I don't know. I like to talk, as you can tell with this podcast. I enjoy sharing knowledge, and I enjoy sharing my story. And it's just what this is all about: us sharing our journeys and helping each other out and inspiring each other. So we had a lot of fun talking about that. Just definitely thrilled to have him on, or have him have me on. And I'm going to be having him on soon. He's actually going to be making his trip down here to Florida to go to Disney for a weekend or so, actually a long week, which is actually coming out here in this next weekend, which I'm going to be fun to get to meet Greg in person and have a couple drinks with him and meet his family and stuff. And then we'll have him on and share his journey on how he was introduced into our community. He owns a smoke shop, and you can follow him on Instagram at GlassChat. It's great stuff. So there you go. Quick little ramble for y'all. Love you so much. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you have not yet subscribed to this podcast and you're listening to this for the first time, please subscribe. Like us on iTunes or any other podcast app that you listen to. If you could leave us a review, it greatly helps this show out. Anybody that leaves reviews in 2019, I will be reviewing them and reading them. So please leave me a review. It's really easy to do if you have the podcast app for your iPhone. Just go on there, click on the show, click on the 5 stars if you think the show deserves a 5-star review, and then you can also write a review where it says write review. It sends you to a link. You can just give me a quick little shout out, tell me what you think about this show, and then that would greatly appreciate that. So until next time, enjoy this episode with Mike Luna, episode number 5. Love you all so much. Take care. Peace. What's going on, Mike? Welcome back to the show, bro.
What's up, Jason? How you doing, man?
Good, dude. So just going back, we were just talking pre-show. August 12th, 2016, episode 120 is when you were on last. And it's just crazy. It's been fucking three years, man. Jesus, where's the time going?
Oh, man. Time flies, brother. Time flies.
So crazy. So main reason I want to bring you on, for one, because I love your work. I've appreciated your stuff forever. And being an established artist and also having a specific unique style of your own thing that you make, the dragons that you do, amongst a lot of other things, obviously. But being an artist who has evolved their work over the last 20 years, basically, as long as I've been doing this for, and experienced the laws changes and the color changes and the financial changes, like all these things we've experienced over the years. A lot we talked about in the last time you were on the show. But then within like the last 3 to 5 years, there's also been this kind of ups and downs in the industry, and some people are jumping ship, some people are like hanging on for dear life, a lot of crazy things going on, and you're continuing to seem like you have this consistency of just across the board, like you're just paddling consistently through. New colors come in, you try the new colors out, you make your dragons, you're doing collaborations, you're doing shows, all these things are happening, and at least from my perspective, what I see on, social media, which is kind of hard to tell a lot what's going on in people's lives. Some people like use it for a facade, but, having known you for a while now, I think it's, you're pretty real about what's going on. So, again, dude, I'm stoked to get you on here and really just kind of talk about the way that things are going out there in the industry.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, buddy. Yeah, it's different, but then again, it's the same thing for me, man. It's all just sitting in front of the fucking torch, It's like nothing changes there. But, like there's a lot of people that come and go, and you see that people come in hot and then drop off. That happens all the time. You see that a lot. And then, shit, man, there's just been like a lot of new things with color going on. We were rapping about before, and Molten Ore is out there changing the game for a lot of people and setting the bar really high, and now everyone's following suit. So, there's a lot more quality going into the materials. So what's coming out is more museum quality stuff in the end. And so it's just, it's a growth, it's just this explosion of quality glass. It's just getting out there into the world, and hopefully it's just going to get better and better,
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree, because as you know, 20 years ago we had like 12 colors available. It's like one green that sucked. So now it's like you're saying, like Molten Ore is coming out with this, and they're not cheap price wise. They're a higher end line of glass, but what it's doing is it's causing artists to create a higher line of work. using this quality material. It's like, are you going to drive a fucking Ferrari and put basic unleaded gas in this thing? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, it's not cheap, man. When I when I call those guys and get some, like 3 pounds of color, I look at my invoice and I'm like, damn it, man.
Yeah.
But it's worth every penny, man. There's just quality. It's consistent. It's fucking next level, dude. So, you're paying for that fucking alien technology that's like
Yeah.
worth it, dude. So
Yeah.
I'm all in. All in.
Yeah, me too, dude. 100%. And it's interesting, like looking back on the last decade of like the hype colors, the hype people out there, the hype artists, the hype boys, the collectors, everything else in this industry. It was all about the hype, and it seems like anymore now, like the hype's kind of gone away a little bit. It's not as prevalent. The flippers aren't out there buying shit and selling it in the market. The trade shows have kind of settled in a little bit. There's a lot of them, but they're also kind of seems like they're kind of settling down somewhat. We're not having 100 trade shows a year like we did about 3 or 4 years ago. We still have a lot, but there's still, this seems like the focus is still dedicated to a high quality standard within our industry as American glassblowers. Not to mention now potentially us dealing with tariffs with China and having stuff brought over. I'm really curious to see how that's going to affect the import industry.
Right.
On one thing, hopefully it affects it in a good way in terms of us not having to deal with so much import coming in. But it seems like the competition amongst the glass blowers these days that are the glass blowers like yourself and myself, and say the Joe Peters or the Yu Sheens of the world out there that have a name, it seems like the quality of your prep is what's really being considered to make you a quality artist. Sure, the final result is obviously there, but you can see the final result in the prep. You know what I mean?
Right.
So do you find like with all this new kind of evolution of things going on, like you've kind of changed the way that you're doing things? Like we used to do, stick stacks that then led to vac stacks or coil potting, or you know what I mean? So
Yeah. When different artists come in, I'll pick up different things and learn from them, and like I'll have new techniques that blow my mind, like and basically just reteach me how to do it right. Like I used to coil pot to make my own tubing, and that's a great technique and everything, but sometimes you get those striation lines and they don't go away unless you like sand them off of there, or polish them off of there. But and then that stick and poke method is like, man, that for me that changed the game, and that was just because Eugene came over and showed me how to do it, and I was like, oh, there we go. And now I can't get away from it. Like that's how I make my colored tubing now. It's like do that and then sleeve it and yeah. So I mean, there's all kinds of different techniques to clean up your if you start with good clean prep, you're gonna the chances are you're gonna end up with something that's clean in the end. So
yeah, 100%.
And if I ever get a male collab, I can usually tell if the prep is going to be something that I even want to touch as soon as I put it in the flame. There's been a few that I've like I just can't use it, because they're either rushing their prep to get it out the door so I can try to make something into it, and like the quality gets lost somehow, and
yeah.
I don't want to hurt people's feelings when I send their prep back or sit on it for too long, but you got to clean that shit up, man.
Yeah.
Clean it up.
Yeah, and I find too, like talking, like we were talking pre-show, talking to my brother, he's so focused on what he's doing in terms of his quality of his work, which has been inspiring for me and been lighting a fire into my ass in a sense. And a lot of what him and I talked about was like the cleanliness aspect of your work, like what the very beginning of making sure your tubing, your color, your rods, your punnies, everything's fucking clean as shit. But then when you're done making this stuff, what do you do with it? Do you just like let it sit on your bench and like dust get all over it, And
right.
A lot of guys are now using like saran wrap to wrap up their shit with, so you're keeping the dirt off of it. It not only does it protect it from the dirt and dust and grime of your studio, but also keeps it from banging against each other and getting scratched up and
Yep.
like that kind of shit. And even like you're pulling points are going to collect dust if you're whatever you're doing. It's like you got to really pay attention to how you're storing your raw material, how you're storing your prep, and then how you're taking that prep and then using it properly.
Absolutely, man. I agree. And to me, nobody takes care of their raw material and prep better than Darby Holm, man. That guy, he has this little like plastic bag machine that he'll seal in all of his like pulled prep so it doesn't ever touch any, like no dust gets on it or any kind of like fingerprints or anything. And it's just, it goes in clean and it comes out clean, even years later. And it's like, yeah, that's the way, you gotta hold your stuff to a high standard, because someone's gonna pay a high amount for it. You might as well get it dialed.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with the volatile industry we have right now, where like it matters. It's people are very particular, and especially those that are in the know of the stuff, even if they're not a glass artist. The collectors out there that are dropping $15,000-$20,000, even $1,000 or $500 on a pipe. It's still $500 is a pretty good chunk of change for someone paying for a pipe.
Right.
Exactly. And they're not going to want to buy something that's got a bunch of grime that you can see in between your layer of color and clear, that kind of shit.
Oh yeah, man, that's the worst, dude. When you take an old piece of prep and then you try to just Windex it, and then you put it in the kiln, and then when you hit it with the torch, you just see that layer of scuzz just go crazy, and you're like, yeah, there goes that, know.
Yeah.
That's from not protecting it. You gotta wrap it up in bubble wrap or whatever, shrink wrap it, just get it out of the air. Even a toolbox, put it in a toolbox.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's smart. So in terms of like as you're continuing to refine your work, like I saw some of the stuff you're doing, dude. I mean, just their sculptural techniques, I can tell, have just been the last 5 years even alone have just been going crazy. There's a lot of guys out there that are doing incredible sculptural work. And you're one of the guys out there, guys and gals, but everybody's kind of grouped into the guys thing, But as a detailed sculptural artist, at your stuff you're doing, it's like it's fun seeing you consistently refine your work. And even the dragons, are you finding like you're getting to a point with these dragons, like you're gonna kind of like get tired of making them ever, or is it something that you're just always finding new avenues and new ways and directions?
That's a good question, man, because sometimes I do get tired of them just because. Like I feel like, oh man, I want to make other things. But, that's only some days. But most days I'm like, I'm all in, dude. I just love making dragons, dude. It's like just something that fits my passion.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me pause this real quick.
Yeah.
There's something going on with the ventilation over here. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fucking pouring rain. I thought it was the ventilation. It's super loud rain.
Nice.
Go ahead and ask me that question again if you want.
Yeah. So with the dragons and stuff, you've been refining these things for a long time, a decade plus, and I know how it is when you make something over and over and over again. You're finding that you're getting to a point where you're just getting burnt out from making these dragons, or are you refining them and enjoying the direction that they're going in?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. Because some days I do get kind of burnt out on, I'll go in and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm like, oh, but I have to make this for this shop or whatever. I have to make another dragon, and it's like, oh. But then again, it's done so much for me, like just the exploration of where to put different attachments, how to get the wings to look right and everything. I'll always love making dragons, bro. Like, there's no doubt about it. I'm so in love with that form, and it's like, it's so open to interpretation because they've never existed. Some people will probably argue that back, but
right.
But I don't know. I love it, man. And then the I don't know if you saw the claw holding the orb. I'm making these. They're a rig that's just basically a claw holding the ball face down, and the ball is where the function happens, where you put the water, and there's a doer seal. But yeah, and then that making those is just so fun, and
Yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah, I love it.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, because I'm like, like yourself or Elbow, some of the guys doing dragons, they would make like the Dragon Claw pendants, and I thought that was a great idea for an accessory for someone to be able to purchase of your work if they can't afford to buy the full, rig or whatever they're wanting to buy.
Right, right. Yeah, man. There's always new stuff to do with that form. I've got so many ideas that I still have to you know put to it. So I'm not done, man. I'm
Yeah,
not
and
done.
I think what's the beauty of that kind of thing of like finding your voice, finding your signature piece, is it allows you to collaborate with artists, and the true sense of a collaboration. You're not looking at a piece that looks like two different people came together and made it. It looks like one artist put together all these different techniques into one thing, in a sense. You know what I mean? And lately, I mean, you having worked with Darby for so long, you guys have done a lot of collabs together, and then over the years, seeing the Peter Mullers of the world or the different artists out there that you've collabed with, are you still finding like that dragon is that piece that's a great piece for you to use to collaborate with, or are you trying to find other avenues of collaboration?
Oh no, that's a good one to collaborate with, especially with the prep guys. Like Big Z just sent me some prep for his show. Big Z and Friends. I think it's on the 24th September. Yeah, and like when you get clean prep in the mail that's all bagged up, just like we were talking about, so it can't get scratched or dust on it.
Hmm.
It's just such a joy to work with, and to do my thing with their prep. It's like I love it, man. I don't get tired of it, and I think that is a pretty wide open. Dragons are pretty wide open for collaboration efforts, dude, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it seems that way. I mean, I'm going back to thinking of like like when you did the Toothless Stitch crossover that you did.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was a Disney collab with myself.
Yeah, dude, super fucking gnarly. Like I was showing my manager at work, and he's Keith's a glass artist too. So he saw it and he was just like, man, just the color work, the detail in it is just fucking amazing. I'm like, dude, we should hire him to come over here and do some blown glass Disney sculptures for us. They'd be expensive, but that's like a guest artist coming on board.
I would love to do it just to say that I did it. Like I worked at Disney for a week, then I quit.
Right? Yeah, exactly. The only problem though is there's like a whole approval process we have to go through with our character
Oh, for
integrity
sure.
things. And looking at the like, because I know that when I'm developing something myself as a character, they get approved. I'm thinking like, damn, this thing's spot on. My audience or the people I see on on Instagram and stuff like, oh my god, it's fucking perfect. And then I give it to my art director, and she's like, yeah, this thing sucks. You need to do this and this and this to it, kind of thing. She doesn't tell me it
Right.
sucks, but she understands because she was a Disney animator, and it's always fun to go through that process. But seeing it from a distance and looking at that piece, man, like just it was a fun crossover and understanding the two characters going into one like that. And obviously you've done Stitch a couple times, so it's been it's a pretty cool piece. But kind of
Thanks,
backing up,
man.
yeah, not a problem, dude. But kind of backing up a little bit, talking about the dragons. You had mentioned about shops, wanting and ordering these from you. So in terms of you selling your work, are you still strictly because you don't really do the trade shows that much, do you? Or are you mostly just doing just kind of directly
Um,
to the shops?
it's been a while. It's been a minute since I went out to Age. That's usually the one that I do. I didn't go last year, so I kind of feel like I'm behind on the trade shows. But I didn't have anything to bring. Uh, yeah, it's been good. I usually sell the collectors, or I've been working with a couple stores, and they're really good to me. Hickory Sam from Hickory is just, man, that guy is awesome. He's just been really good to me and Darby and everybody here in this shop. He's like family, and and then there's new ones that pop up every day, like Joe from Planet Caravan. That's he's a pretty new guy for me, but he's been super supportive. The Stash Box,
Yeah.
they've been really supportive. There's a lot of good shops out there, man. They just love glass, and when you love something, you're going to be able to sell it quicker and more efficiently. So
Yeah, I agree.
it's a win-win, man.
Yeah, it's good shit. Yeah, I've actually been myself just getting some new accounts that I've never sold to before, and it's fun getting to meet these newer to me shop owners, that are just still
Yeah, yeah,
so excited about the glass scene. It's and the knowledge that they have on top of it all. There's like, bring me more shit. I'm like, yeah, please.
yeah. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, so in terms of like talking about doing some collabs with Big Z and stuff like that, I saw you had that two-headed dragon, that clear one you did for the Tea Leaf show. Are you also like focusing on trying to get yourself out there in a marketing sense? Doing shows and trade shows, and well, not the trade shows, but the shows that these shops are putting on.
Like the solo shows, yeah. I'm not the type that's gonna try to stir that up for myself. I'll let them contact me. I haven't done one in a minute. The last time I did one was with the the Marley House out there in Florida,
Yeah.
and that was a minute ago. So yeah, I haven't really done any solo drops or anything like that. I guess I'm slacking when it comes to that, but I'm definitely willing to do them. I love traveling, and getting out there. But,
Yeah, it seems like it's a couple years ago. I forget who I was talking to, but we were talking about looking at the smoke shops as being like a strip club, and they're bringing in their highlight
yeah,
head dancer for the week or whatever, you know what I mean, and whatever the glass artist is on stage, you know what I mean.
yeah, dude, dancing for your tips.
Yeah, dude. My buddy Frank Strunk, he always told us, he's like, you guys are like strippers. You can take your talents and go anywhere and make money. I'm like, yeah, fucking.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's so true. But in terms of like as a business, plan model type of thing, it's a great thing for smoke shops to not only promote an artist, but also to show their local community, hey, here's a specific guy, we love his work, and you bring a bunch of shit in, hopefully you sell out, they continue buying your stuff, and then they move on to the next artist, kind of thing, while they're still buying your work and keeping it in there,
Right.
keeping things fresh, so it's cool to see other shops out there, and it seems like the retail side is just constantly expanding. No matter how many fucking smoke shops out there, every day there's probably 100 new ones opening up.
Oh yeah, it seems like it, man. You know what I have been doing a lot of is the gallery showings. So it's like the whole group show. I'm doing one for with Molten Aura and Level 42 Gallery in North Carolina, and yeah, I've been doing a lot of those like collective artist gallery showings. So not too many solo shows, but I definitely do the gallery shows quite frequently.
Yeah,
So
yeah. What was the most recent one that you did?
The most recent one was what was the most recent one? Might have been the tea leaf, but I'm sure there's something more recent than that. Yeah, definitely. There's been more recent ones. The bluegrass show was one that I did with bluegrass, or I made a collab for that show. I sent some pieces or I sent a piece to Heaters. So I had a piece on display last weekend there in LA. So I get them out there. I'm not always present at them. Most of the times I'm not, but my work's there. Me.
Oh, I'm losing you real quick. Your signal's getting a little weird. Oh, there you are. You're back.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I guess for the newer glass artists out there that's never done a show before, like, how do you recommend them going about getting their work into a show? Like, is it, social media presence, getting a big name for yourself, contacting shops? I mean, much less, I guess, because like for me, for instance, I'm not really out there as much in the industry paying attention, just because it's hard for me to do it right now. So to pay attention to all these shops that are, saying, hey, we have a show coming up, should you contact these shops? Like, is there like a list to get onto? Like, how do you go about doing that kind of stuff?
As far as I know, I'm not the type. I've never been the type to ask for anything. I just kind of work and I'll post on Instagram from time to time, and sometimes I'll get a message saying that somebody wants me for a show, and so that's basically how I do it. Just focus on your work. If you're a new artist, don't focus on trying to get a show just yet. I mean, that's just, to me, that's going down the wrong path, and like trying to get famous before there's anything to get famous for.
Yeah.
I would say just focus on your work, and then that shit will, like, it's the whole, if you build it, they will come. Build the dreams theory,
Yeah.
Just work your ass off, make nice shit, and they'll come knocking on your door. That's how it works.
Yeah, man. Well said. I agree. That's why I wanted to ask, because I have the same opinion. I'm just kind of curious because I know like a lot of people out there. Not, I shouldn't say a lot, but there are artists out there over the years that we see out there who their friends put them over, and next thing they know, they get this huge ego that their stuff's the shit, and then next thing you know, they're like, "Why am I being denied all this stuff?" Or, they're kind of,
And I'm not saying that if you're trying to seek out a solo show and you're new, that's the wrong way to go about it. I just, for me, that's the wrong way, but for you it might be the right way, and I could be doing it wrong. So I mean, it's all up to you, but I would say focus on your stuff. And if your stuff's clean and no one's calling you, I don't know, man.
That's right.
But they'll come, they'll come knocking on your door sooner or later.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, man, because I think the glass should speak for itself. But at the same time, it's like social media algorithms are constantly changing all the time. We're having to keep up with all this shit and all these evolutions of whatever promotion and advertising and marketing and pay to play and whatever. And it's like, years ago, you're seeing these guys and gals that were brand new glass blowers that were doing these auctions and getting thousands of dollars for their auction pieces, and it wasn't, in my opinion, and in other artists too, it probably may have been worth like $25. You know what I mean?
Oh, right.
It was just kind of weird. Like this weird thing was going on, and somehow they just understood social media maybe more so than glass, and because of that, they were able to market themselves and promote themselves, and then kind of hype it up a bit. In a sense, like they were like their own little hype boy, kind of deal.
Yeah, you got to watch out for that, I think, because that's fickle. That's gonna wear off, And I've heard of a lot of people, maybe not a lot of people, but I've heard of people doing it the wrong way, where they have their homies bid on, or their managers or whatever bid on their pieces to bid up people, and It's like, man, that's not the way to do it. That's some fake ass shit, dude. You got to stay true to what you're getting on the real.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%, man.
Self-hype. There's nothing more sad than self-hype, dude.
Yeah.
It's the worst shit ever.
Like, I'll like my own post sometimes just because I do.
But you do, bro.
Just because it's hilarious.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, somebody who was here. I was working with Randall Glass, which that kid is awesome, man. I really love that kid. But he was here and he was showing me, like, we were going over designs, and he's like, oh, and I also do this one. And I looked, and he was showing me from his Instagram page, and he had liked his own post. I was like, bro, like, you can't fucking like your own shit. He's like, oh, it's only that one, I promise. But it was funny.
Yeah,
we both laugh on that one, man.
Yeah. And I'll sometimes do it on accident. Like, I didn't realize I do it, and then I see my little heart light up. I'm like, fuck it, I'll just leave it.
Right. My son liked a bunch of my posts one time. I left my Instagram open on my iPad, and he got in there and started liking a bunch of my shit. And I'm like, no, bro. He's like, why? But I like it. I'm like, yeah, but we gotta take those away, man.
Yeah.
That's start your own Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's funny. So speaking of that, man, being a dad, do you find, like, I'm not saying you're pushing your kid towards the art, but are you exposing him to the glass scene yet at all?
Yeah, he digs it, man. He really digs it. I get him on the torch from time to time. He's pretty, he's pretty steady. Like, he can spin. He has a pretty good spin for starting out. So he's showing a little bit of potential. He's in that hyper stage right now. He's 11 years old, so he's sitting down for him for long periods of time is not in his wheelhouse just yet.
Right.
So we'll get him there, man, and hopefully he can carry on.
Yeah, man, it's fun. I always get parents at work all the time, kind of like, I guess I take that as a compliment, because they're like, my kid doesn't stand still for nothing, and now we can't get him to leave because he wants to sit there and watch me working all day.
Nice.
Which is cool. And being a parent, there's been times like I've had the dad kind of give me the dad look, and I'm like, give him the dad look back, and I'm like, turn my torch off real quick, like, all right, time for a quick little break, kind of thing.
Right.
Parents want to get the fuck on with the day, kind of deal. And the parents love watching it too. But obviously, when you're on a schedule, you're on a schedule.
Definitely, man. Yeah, definitely. Daddy's got to work.
Yep.
Yeah, he's always asking. My son's always asking me to, can I come to the shop today? I'm like, oh man, because he's just so he wants to touch everything, and this shop has a lot of stuff like expensive shit that he could break. So I'm like, wait, just wait, man. We'll get you in there soon. So
Yeah.
I about 80% of the time I'm telling him no, that he can't go. So I kind of feel bad about that, but we'll get him in here.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting, man, just seeing like the generations, in terms of whose kids are now doing glass work. For those of us that have been doing this for 20 years, it's interesting to see it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, one name comes to mind, and that's Crunk. The Crunk kids are killing it. Justin and True, man. And they're just right in their father's footsteps. They're doing really good, man. I'm proud of those kids. They're
Yeah,
good kids.
it's killer, man. And Darby's kids, right? He's been doing some shit
Oh
for a
yeah,
while.
Caleb. Caleb's killing it right next to me every day, man.
Yeah,
He's my
yeah.
neighbor.
Nice.
Yeah, we throw ideas back and forth, and he's got a really good mind on how shit works. So I go to him for advice a lot.
I love that, dude. That's what the nice thing about having the younger generation around like that. Like I was saying with my
Yeah.
brother, I'm always going to my brother being like, "Hey, dude, what do you think about this?" He's like, "Yeah, that's fucking stupid. Do it like this."
Yeah, that's the way Caleb is, man. He'll tell me if something's stupid, man. So I value that more than someone who's just gonna, yeah, that's cool, like blow smoke.
Mm-hmm.
He's a real motherfucker for sure. I
Yeah,
love
dude.
that kid.
Yeah, that's awesome. I need to get him on the show too. I need to get Darby on here too. I know Darby and I have gone back and forth a couple times. He's been kind of hitting Han about wanting to come on and then not sure and then does and then I know how it is.
Yeah. He's great, man. He's a great dude. He'd love to come on for sure.
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
him on.
yeah. You can help influence that conversation. I'll hit him up again later today.
Yeah, I'll definitely, man. I'll work some magic. I'll try
Yeah, that'd
to.
be killer.
Hell yeah.
So, I guess in like in terms of current influences in your work and stuff, like, do you have anything inspiring you outside of the Dragon line of things, that's causing you to push your work in different directions? Besides, like you talk about like the Dragon Claw, little bubble rig that you're doing.
Oh yeah, man. Dude, I get inspiration so many different ways. I could be watching a movie with my son or daughter, and I'm just like, oh, I want to try a bird, and yeah, the movies influence me. Different books, illustrated books, influence me. Shutting my eyes at night, uh, that probably influences me more. Like right when I'm in that kind of twilight phase, I'll shut my eyes and images will just come to me. So that's that's kind of where I get my inspiration. It's just from gathering all the data throughout the day or the week, and then just kind of letting it play out on my eyelids.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have like a
Yeah,
sketch pad or any kind of notebook or anything that you have next to your bed to?
yeah, I do. So I usually don't sketch out a piece before I build it. I should probably do more of that, but I just kind of have it in my head, and then I'll go from there. You know.
Yeah, it's funny you'd say that because that was going to be my next question. Because I remember like last time we talked, you had mentioned that too, like not really pre-planning certain things. I understand having the dragon piece that you've made so many times, which makes it even easier for you to then experiment with color and applications and different things because you have this piece you're very aware of and knowledgeable about, the
Right.
intricacies of it. But then, like, you going into something new, like a rhino or a bird or, like the geisha girls that you were doing for a while, like, you don't even really, do you go into that with any kind of like pre-sketching or any kind of thing on paper at all?
Yeah, absolutely. When it's something completely new, I'll draw it out a bunch of times. I really don't get to do anything completely out of my head too much anymore. And is that your phone?
Yeah, I was just trying to turn my vibration off here.
Nice. But I should get into more things. Just come completely out of my head. That way it's exciting for me. When I'm just doing something over and over, it's more like a production thing. And it's cool and everything, but doing something completely from scratch and new, it's fun. Like the rhino, I kind of drew it a bunch in my head, and I looked at pictures of rhinos on Google, and drawings of rhinos or tattoos or even sculptures of rhinos, and I had to completely redesign the rhino head to make it uh, functional, because there was nowhere to put a mouthpiece unless I popped a hole in the horn. But then you have a hole in the tip of the horn, and
Right.
yeah, I'm not down with that. So I had to kind of make the head a little bit different. So it's not anatomically correct in any way, but it still reads as a rhino. And fuck it, I'm going down with the ship on that one, dude. That's fucking.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that too about, because you want to keep the integrity of the character or whatever it is you're making, not want to pop a hole in the horn because it just looks kind of silly, in terms of
Right.
the look of it. Because I know, a lot of your work you can stick on a shelf and you don't even know it's a fucking pipe, which is, pretty badass, to be able to have something like that of that nature.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, it's got to look good at the end. Function to me is right up there with aesthetics, but if it doesn't look good, I'll shelve it, man. I'll just it'll just collect dust.
Do you have a small collection of that kind of stuff going?
Oh, dude, big time, dude. And when guests come over, or just people that randoms that come through the shop, they'll ask me how much is this, and I'm like, oh, it's not really for sale. Why? Look at it.
Right.
But I don't know. It's weird. Like Darby was telling me about this too some years back. He's like, a piece that you think is ugly, that's usually the first one that sells, and that's so true, man. It's weird.
Yeah, it's always been that way. I have struggled with that myself. Like, I've have a couple pieces here myself now that I just like, man, I don't know if I want to, have my name attached to these things. But then like,
Right.
I've had friends and people stop by and see it and the shit, and they're like, dude, like, what are you waiting for? Kind of thing.
Exactly, man.
Because like I made shit that I remember going. I'll never forget it too. Like probably about 15 years ago, just experimenting with some colors, and I made this really funky looking spoon. Had all these angles and horns, and just I thought it was ugly as shit. And I had a whole bunch of really sweet stuff that to me I thought was some of my nicest work I'd ever made, and all that shit sat on the fucking shelf. And that piece I thought was like this funky looking whatever. It sold like before I left the store, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Of course, man. Because you put passion into it. Someone saw the effort, and they dug it, man. And I think that's what it is. They're like, oh, especially like pieces like that are the first one of their kind.
Mm-hmm.
People could kind of sniff that out, and they want to be a part of, any kind of history that the new ones are gonna, put out,
Yeah.
based on. I remember my first elephant head pendant I sold at the Emerald Cup. Uh, God, it was probably 2013, and this guy that bought it, I sold it to him, and he said, I said, thank you. And he said, no, thank you, man. I love buying glass. It's going to be a part of history. And I was like, whatever, But, and I still, like, it's not a big deal. But I guess having the first elephant head pendant that I ever made might be something cool sometime. But he sniffed it out, and he's like, oh, I need that. If it's the first one, I need it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know people like that too, and I completely respect and appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Because like I see a lot of people that will see like say a series of like 20 and they're all numbered and they're like, oh, I need number 1 or number 2, and they're all reprints. So it doesn't really matter if you buy 1 or 20; they're all the same fucking print. It doesn't really have a different value. It doesn't change the value, but to them, number 1 through 5 are probably are their most valuable pieces that they can probably have.
Yeah, man. I watched a documentary. This is completely off topic, but I fucking found out that remember those fucking baseball cards, that company Upper Deck back in the 80s and 90s?
Oh
They
yeah.
were they were printing off like mass Ken Griffey Jr. cards, bro, and just like I was like, what the fuck, dude? I remember like that was the holy grail. You go into a comic book shop and they had a Ken Griffey Jr. card. It was like $150.
Yeah.
You're like, you saved all your money to buy that one card. But come to find out, the company Upper Deck was just printing that shit off and fucking selling to the shops for $20. And they're printing it years after his rookie year was even up. You know, like they were printing them in '93, and dude, it was so bullshit. Yeah, but yeah, but hopefully Glass doesn't get like that.
Yeah, right. You know, it's crazy, man. Because like I remember when eBay came out and like baseball cards and comic book values went down really like overnight when that market opened up. You know, but like the marble scene, people were selling marbles on eBay and they were getting exposure, and the marble scene started growing out there even more so than I thought it was going to grow. And
I remember that.
You know, and that was like whatever, fucking 15, 20 years ago almost now. So it's kind of interesting the dichotomy of the two different things that are collectibles. One goes up in value, one goes fucking drops out the bottom of the barrel and ain't worth shit.
Right, because one was hyped out, bro.
Yeah.
Self-hype, dude. That's where self-hype will get you.
Completely.
It all comes full circle, bro.
Yeah,
you don't want to. You don't want to be the Upper Deck of Glass.
Yeah, not at all. That's so funny. Yeah, man, it's so interesting too. You know, just I don't know the collectibles out there of all niches and brands and things. It's just like it's interesting what people collect, but you know, I guess I appreciate it all because it's only worth what someone's willing to pay you when it comes down to it. You know.
Yeah, my boy, he collects Pokemon cards, and that's the reason why I did the Charizard. He was like, "You gotta make Charizard. You gotta make Charizard." I was like, "All right, I'll make Charizard." So yeah, but he collects the shit out of those things, man. He's talking about their value all the time, telling me about the fake ones out there. So yeah, he's like the little hype kid, but with Pokemon.
Yeah, mine's the same way, dude. It's so funny. Like I started playing Pokemon Go when it first came out, just because it was something my kid and I could have, you know, talk about Pokemon. You know, I never thought. I mean, I'm still playing this game. It's become like a lifestyle for me in a sense. It's you know, I'm like teaching my kids. Like I'm a level 40 trainer, which is like the highest level you can be, and they're not quite there yet. And I'm like, come on, guys.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know, I'm trying to teach them the game in a sense, but then like my kids like teaching me about the card game, which is a whole different, you know, aspect of the Pokemon lore. It's interesting. But again, there's one more thing to take inspiration from, you know, these fucking weird ass looking character things that these people in Japan are coming up with, giving them all these crazy ass names that kind of makes sense sometimes. But it's just, you know, such an imaginative type of aspect of creativity.
Dude, they're dope, man. They're fucking. I look at those cards and I'm like, damn. Like, I just look at everything as a rig, bro. I'm like, oh, yeah.
You and me both.
Like, fuck. Oh, another thing too is those fucking Skylanders. You know anything about those?
Oh yeah, totally, man. 100%.
Oh, those are like little rigs, man.
They're perfect little models.
Straight up.
Totally. Well, you know, it's funny because like when the whole fucking like when Funko Pops were really coming out, you know, and like, you know, Coyle was doing his piece and stuff, and there were a couple of different guys that were out there making that kind of style of the money, you know, and then you know, and then the shit hit the fan, so everybody stopped doing it, which I totally get. But like these Funkos are great. Like I collected a couple of them. My fiance has, like, I just moved her down from Massachusetts about 3 weeks ago now, and like part of her shit that we moved was all books and Funko Pops. Just crazy. But they're the details and the poses and they're great for fucking inspiration for just like kind of figuring out how to just get an emotion out of a piece of glass, because you know how it is, man. You're trying to make something static but have it look like it's got some kind of, you know, animated emotional type of thing coming from it. And
yeah, you want to make a still piece look like it's moving. You know who really recently did a really good job on that is Elbow. I don't know if you saw any of his recent solo dinos.
No.
But dude, when you get a chance, man, check out Elbow's new dinos, bro. They look like they're fucking moving. Bro.
Hell yeah.
Dude, that guy is fucking, not only is he's cool as fuck, he's fucking, dude, he's on another level, bro.
Yeah, he's super talented. And he's another guy too that has this thing that he's been refining for over a decade, you know, and you can tell.
Oh yeah. Yeah, OG, bro. He's OG as fuck. He was on glass pipes back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, me too. Yeah. I miss that.
Fuck yeah, me too, man.
So funny.
Good old glass pipes. Were you on Toke City, bro?
I never did do Toke City. No.
Oh, that one was good too, man.
I always heard about it. I think I was like one of the first like 20 people, maybe 30 people on Glass Pipes when that first came out, and I was in like the top 10 artists on the side. I was using Firefall for my name and stuff back then, and
Nice.
I was like super active on there. And the only reason I knew about it was the guy was in business with. He was friends with Abe and those guys out west, and it was at the time when my God, I'm having a complete brain fart.
Join the club, man.
The hell is his name? He worked with Jason Lee and Marcel, and I can't believe I can't think of his fucking name.
Ezra.
No, not Ezra. He went on to Mothership. Scott Deppie. Jesus.
Oh, yeah, just that guy.
Yeah, just him. So
yeah, the master.
Yeah, exactly, right. So my dude comes downstairs. He's like, "Bro, you got to check this shit out." And it was like, it was when they first had like one. It was like one of the first posters that was made with a pipe on it, showing like the colors of that North Star was putting out, and it was that crazy triangular chain Sherlock.
Oh, fuck.
You know what I'm talking about?
The rainbow one.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
That
thing was.
Yeah, totally. And I don't even know what the hell the point of that whole thing was.
Dude,
I was so busy trying to figure out who the fuck I was thinking about.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Have you seen Scott? You've seen Scott's Dragons, right? Scott Deppie's Dragons.
No, I haven't. I didn't even realize he's doing dragons.
Oh well, he used to back in the day.
Oh, okay.
He used to make little dragon spoon pipes and like Sherlocks and shit. Dude, his dragons are sick, bro. They're super sick.
I have to look it
There's
up.
so many people that make dragons. It's pretty fucking cool that it's like, it's such a wide open thing. And people that haven't made dragons before, they always end up trying it. Like my buddy Trenton Ometa, he's like, I'm gonna make a fucking dragon. So he went home that night. He was over at my shop and he's like, I'm gonna do that. That looks easy. Then he went home and made a dragon. I was like, fuck yeah, bro. Kill it, bro.
They're not easy.
They're not easy. Yeah, he said, man, I have respect for you. I was like, doing the same shit every day, you end up refining it. If you don't, you're a bonehead,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. Because, like you have like your English dragons and you have your Asian dragons and you have this medieval kind of collaborative merging of two of them. And, it's to be a dragon artist like yourself or like Skaz, it's like you guys have like this specific voice this is your dragon. I mean, I could take like you and Joe Peters and Skaz and put your dragons out there and I know whose is who, kind of situation.
Right.
Just as a style, but like you get these books of dragons that are out there, and which I have one of the ones. It's like How to Draw Dragons or whatever, and it's incredible to see the thousands of different styles that other artists out there in the world have created through folklore or whatever.
Yeah, man, it's wide open, dude. It's wide open. They don't even have to have wings. Like the Asian dragon doesn't even have wings. It's just kind of a serpent.
Yeah, exactly.
Which saves me time.
Right.
Straight up, dude.
Yeah, but see, I like your wings, though. Like, I love your wing style that you do. It's totally unique.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah. Just somebody asked me how... I got a random DM about 6 months ago, and they said, how do you... I don't understand how you're doing your wings, and I was like, what do I... I'm like, okay, so you do this, and I wrote it all out. And he's like, I don't understand. And then I literally took a piece of paper and I drew out like a whole, like a 10-step process. And then I took a picture of that and sent it to him. And he was really cool about it. He made his wings and then he like put a post up and said, thank you, Mike, for showing me how to do, or for telling me how to do these. And I was like, I took the time and showed him, and he fucking did it. It's like, rather than not respond to him, which, some people wouldn't have. But I don't know. I try to take the time to respond to all the DMs, Fuck it. I'm not that important.
No, I understand, dude. I know what you're saying. For sure. Because like, there's definitely some artists that, they'll have a social media manager in a sense that does their shit for them that they don't respond, respond to stuff.
Yeah, man. I'm just a one-man operation. I don't have a prep guy or or anything. Everything's just made by me. I do all my business, all my social media. I do get advice though from Darby's wife. She's really good at a lot of the business side of things. So I have some really good people that are hit me up with some good info. So
Yeah,
I'm
which
pretty
is
blessed.
that's important to have that. Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
Darby and Leela and the fam are just like, yeah, they're awesome, dude. I took a 2-year break in 2000 from 2010 after my son was born to 2012, and I remember I was at a park playing with my son, and I got a phone call from Leela, Darby's wife, and she's like, "Hey, when are you gonna come back to class? A lot of people want your stuff." And I'm like, "Really? They do?" And she's like, "Yeah, we get people that ask about you all the time." And I said, "Oh, okay." And I was like growing weed or something, so I'd like overgrown my shop. And I remember like that day I went home and I looked at my poor torch that was in a box, and I was like, I'm gonna set this shit up. So I made a little bench in the corner of the grow room, and started blowing glass that night. And I was like, all right, I could do this again, you know.
But yeah, doesn't that
So
feel good though, man? Because like even like we were talking pre-show, like I've taken the last 2.5 years off from doing anything functional. I created like a
if
whole separate page, just just to keep my shit separate from my other professional life, quote unquote. And
yeah,
I put a little post up like 2-3 weeks ago of like, hey, here's some new stuff, and just getting DMs and responses from people. It just feels great to know that there's people out there that are like, dude, where the fuck have you been?
yeah, man, and taking that reset, that 2-year reset, at least for me, it kind of like I was kind of like a born again glassblower, so to speak. Like it just felt like renewed, and it was like a rebirth. And I was like, oh shit, I forgot that I love this so much. And yeah, I'm so thankful that Leela called me that day and kind of knocked on the door and said, hey, don't let your talents go to waste.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
important. I'm glad she did that.
yeah, yeah. I'm so glad she did that. She's awesome, man. I love that whole family, dude. They're so great.
Yeah,
Great
it's amazing.
people.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Talking about getting that reset, because like for me personally, like we were talking earlier, it's like I was doing 40+ weeks at an hours a week at Disney and doing glass full time and trying to go home and do the same thing, and it was just like I was starting to suck at everything, just at life, because I was just overwhelmed and just taking on too much stuff, and a lot of it was just too much glass. And it was just
Right,
like I got burnt the fuck out, and I just was not enjoying any of it at all. Like just hating this. Like I want to be in the backyard having a beer in the sun right now, kind of shit. And I'm just like
right,
taking on too much. And I had to do the same thing. But for me personally, like my mental reset had to go from doing this production for so long and running my own little business and being a production glassblower to like I'm a production artist at work, and at home I don't have to be. And it took me taking that 2 years off to really just change my whole perspective on, okay, I can spend an entire week now in here and just make one thing if I want. I don't get a lot out of that spiritually and emotionally wise. Like I still feel like I need to do a little bit of production at home, but it's not. I had to like really like, okay, change my mindset, completely change my focus, change my direction, my business model, the whole 9 yards, rebrand myself in a sense, and then have this kind of like a comeback, if you want to call it that. Even though I'm not looking at making a comeback in a sense. I
yeah.
don't I don't have time for it.
It's all about forcing yourself to get in there. It's kind of like the whole gym theory. You don't want to work out in the morning or whatever, but if you force yourself to get in there and start working out, you're gonna eventually just start making it a routine.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think that the same thing with the torch, man. Even though I love it, like I love the shit out of it. It's the best job in the world, in my opinion. It's still some days, you're like, I could probably take today off, but I basically make myself come in here and sit down and blow glass, and then I'm so happy at the end of the day that I did it. Just like when you come out of the gym and you're like, yeah, now I can eat a huge pizza or whatever.
Right, exactly.
It's it's that reward system. It's like, oh, I did good today.
Yeah. So speaking of like your work, like how many on an average week, for instance, like how much stuff are you actually cranking out?
I'm really slow these days, man. I take my time with everything, and I remember in the second dragon I made in one day, bro. I made in one fucking day.
Nice.
Uh, Now they take me 3 weeks for so.
Oh, Jesus, that's a big difference.
Yeah, the one that I made for Matthias, Matthias 710 on Instagram, one of my good friends. His took me 3.5 weeks, man, and it's only 7 inches tall. And it's like, dude, I don't know. I just take my time with it. Like I had to change so many things on there to get it exactly right. It just, I find more value in that, taking my time. It's not a race. I'm not trying to get rich off of this.
Mm-hmm.
I think my pieces are priced pretty reasonable when you consider the amount of time. Yeah, I'm not racing to get as many dragons out there as I can. Fuck that, bro.
Yeah,
Fuck
exactly.
that. Yeah, if there's only 300 at the end of my life, that's a pretty good accomplishment. Take care of them.
Yeah.
I'm a one man show.
So in that 3 weeks that you're working on something, like, is there anything else on the torch being created outside of that one piece, or is it just strictly you're just taking your time and focusing on one little thing at a time?
Yeah, I used to just make one. I used to just make one piece and focus on the one piece and make parts for the one piece. But watching Joe Peters work, he's working on like 3 or 4 different things at once.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh yeah, that's the way to do it. So I kind of got influence from him. Man, such a good guy and a great artist, man. And that guy's just like hard working motherfucker, dude. Great guy.
Yeah.
Hard work. How could you not be influenced by him? So now I have multiple things going at once. I'll have a couple things in the kiln. Right now I'm working on a Maleficent dragon from Sleeping Beauty.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. So I got that going, and it's been in there for a month, and I'll do a little tweaking on it here and there while I'm, making other things. But these claw ball rig things, they're pretty they're pretty fast. I could probably make 2 a week. So that kind of gives me
I love that you think that that's fast. I agree with what you're saying, but I'm sure like the average glass blower is like, dude, I can't fucking feed myself on that shit.
Straight up, man. Straight up. Yeah, luckily I have a low overhead. I own my house, so I don't have a mortgage. I have very little bills. So, and I don't really like expensive cars or anything like that. I don't wear Gucci shit. I got flip-flops on and fucking Levi's, bro.
Fuck yeah. My kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, that's how I roll, man. I'm from Oregon, dude. Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, nothing's lavish.
Yeah, it's like the Florida lifestyle. We're kind of like on island time all the time down here.
Hell yeah.
As long as you're from the area. Those that move here, that's a whole nother situation. But, growing up in Florida, living on the beach and stuff, it's just like, carefree lifestyle.
Yeah, definitely, man. Florida's beautiful, man. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. Except for all the hurricanes and crazy storms we've been dealing with.
Yeah. How's that going? Are you guys out of the woods yet on that, or are there more? What's going on?
Yeah, we had Dorian. That was like, when I went up to Massachusetts to move Julie down here, we were kind of like freaking out about trying to plan the drive because we just drove straight through. We drove like 24 hours more or less from Massachusetts down here to Florida, and
wow.
Yeah, it was a fucking hike. It was fun, but it was like a marathon for sure. And but that thank God that storm turned a little bit off the coast, and we got a little bit of rain and wind from it. The Bahamas got completely fucked.
Oh yeah, man! I saw the
terrible. So we got lucky, and then we had this other one this weekend that was supposed to come across the state, just as like a mild tropical something, and then it just kind of turned off the coast and is heading out. But now there's something new out in the Caribbean or whatever, the Gulf Stream in a sense, heading up this way.
Right. Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, so we're in the peak season right now, so we're just, every time something happens, we're just like, I'm looking at the map, and having grown up in Florida and paid attention to the weather for so long, I love weather, and I've always enjoyed like watching the maps and trying to predict shit and see what's happening and stuff, and so
right.
That's what we're doing again. Same thing. Just like, okay, let's see what happens here. Because we could definitely use the rain, but 100-mile-an-hour winds, man. When we had Irma come through 2 years ago, there was a point in time that during that night where we had a tornado warning that was in my neighborhood, and every alarm, the house alarm, our phone alarms, I had no power, but that was what was going off. And it was like the one time in my life where I felt like, I felt fear of dying.
Right. Oh, for sure. That's the worst, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I also, at the same time, I went outside and ran out in the hurricane butt naked just because I had to.
Hell yeah. Yeah, dude.
Hopefully it's not an annual tradition, but, whenever we have a big storm like that, I'm going to be out there in the buff, enjoying the wind and rain, keeping my junk covered.
Yeah. That's tight.
Awesome, dude. So on that note, I don't want to keep you too much longer here. I know you got a full day ahead of you here in the studio. But, yeah, man, again, I definitely appreciate you coming on. I just wanted to kind of pick your brain and kind of feel where you are out there right now, and, being out there in the West Coast, too, and kind of seeing a lot of the influence going on out there in the industry, because we're all just spread out amongst this community, which it's pretty awesome, seeing how things have grown in 20 years. I mean, who would have thought, where we are now,
Yeah, totally, man. Totally. Yeah, it's definitely blossomed into a beautiful thing and a great community.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, on that note, before I let you go, if anything you want to share, where we can find you on social media feeds, and then I always like to get a little parting piece of advice, which you've already given us on your last episode, but now that we're here 3 years later, if you have any new advice for the glass blowers out there.
Yeah, man. Mike Luna Glass on Instagram and Mike Robert Luna on Facebook. And that's it for my socials. Parting words, stay on the torch, man. Don't worry about anything else. Worry about getting your shit right. And, to you new guys, to you old guys, keep going.
Hell yeah.
Till your hands don't work anymore.
Well said.
We have the best in the world. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right, buddy. Good talking to you again, man.
Yeah, likewise. I'm at like 1% battery, so my phone literally is about to die.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it.
I was kind of stressing, but yeah. All right, man. Have a good day, brother.
Yeah,
good
you too,
talking.
dude. And I'll hit you up. This is going to go out in 2 weeks from now, so I'll send you the links and all that shit, as always, and you can repost it, share it too.
Sounds good, man. Much love, brother.
Likewise, brother. Have a great night.
You too. Bye.
Bye, man. Peace. Well, I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Mike Luna. Apologize a little bit there on his audio. He had some, couldn't find his headphones, his earbuds, which is no big deal, but I definitely want to bring him on here to discuss some things and some stuff and have some fun conversation about glass and just kind of catch up with him and see where he is. And because I enjoyed having him on last time. He's all about sharing the tips and tricks and techniques and all kind of fun stuff. So he's a great guy. So definitely go check out Mike Luna. You can find him on Instagram at Mike Luna Glass. I'll have all the links and everything you need for him on the show notes. And until next time, don't forget, if you can, please go on to whatever app you use. Leave us a review for this podcast. It definitely helps with all the algorithms and fun things like that. We'll see you next time on A Glass Blower's Companion. Take it easy. Peace.